Welcome to the Communion of Elements, a journey through the living wisdom of the natural world. Here, every element becomes a teacher. In The Breath of Stones, we learn endurance from what does not move. In The Water That Dreamed of Sky, we discover how longing becomes transformation. In The Fire That Waited, creation reveals its patience. In The Root of All Winds, we listen for the origin of unseen motion. And in The Circle of Returning Earth, we remember that all things end where they begin, in unity. Each verse invites you to slow down, breathe deeper, and see the elements not as separate forces but as reflections of your own inner balance. If you find peace, insight, or stillness along the way, like, comment, share, and subscribe to continue walking the Book of Unity. In the silence of the mountains, the stones exhaled a slow, measured rhythm. They were not mere fragments of earth, but keepers of time, their surfaces etched with the memory of rain, wind, and the passage of suns and moons. The seeker knelt among them, feeling their weight, their patience, their unspoken knowing. Every stone carried a story of endurance, of stillness amidst the shifting chaos of the world. Beneath the quiet, a pulse was felt, subtle yet unmistakable. It was the breath of the stones, a heartbeat that had neither beginning nor end. To listen was to remember the language of permanence, the wisdom of things that do not move yet shape the flow of all existence. The seeker's own breath slowed, aligning with the rhythm of the stones. In that alignment, a truth emerged. Movement is not always the path to understanding. Sometimes it is the stillness, the unyielding presence that reveals the essence of all things. Here, the stones whispered without sound, teaching that patience is a form of listening, and that the depth of knowing comes not from action, but from presence. The breath of stones became the breath of the seeker, and in this shared silence, the first seeds of elemental communion were sown. Beneath the vast expanse of the sky, the water moved with a quiet grace, reflecting the clouds that drifted lazily above. Each ripple carried a memory, of rain that had fallen long ago, of rivers that had carved valleys through stone, of lakes that had mirrored the changing seasons for centuries. The water dreamed of the sky, yearning to touch the endless blue, to merge with the light that danced upon its surface, yet knowing that its own path was bound to flow along its own course. The seeker knelt at the river's edge, hands tracing the surface, feeling the coolness and the subtle pulse beneath. In that moment, the water spoke, not in words, but in movement, in the gentle undulations that mirrored the seeker's own breath. Patience and longing intertwined. The water did not rush, yet it traveled ceaselessly, shaping the world around it with quiet persistence. Every droplet was a story, every wave a reflection of the sky's infinite vastness, and in its flowing, the seeker glimpsed the unity of all things, the meeting of earth and air, of depth and light. The sun struck the surface and the water shimmered like 1,000 tiny stars, each one carrying the memory of a cloud, a wind, a storm, a calm. The seeker felt the water's longing, its desire to rise and merge with the sky, and in that longing found a lesson. Transformation is not forced, but invited. The sky above and the water below were not separate, but partners in a dance older than time, teaching that connection is found not in grasping, but in yielding, in moving with the current while holding the vision of what is sought. As the seeker stood, water flowing through fingers, a calm settled within. The river whispered its ancient truth. To dream of the sky is to honor the depths, and to honor the depths is to understand the infinite. In the reflection of the sky, the seeker saw their own spirit mirrored, learning that longing, patience, and presence are the currents that carry all souls toward unity. Before the first dawn, before even light knew its own name, there was a fire that chose not to burn. It slept beneath the mountains, beneath the ash of uncounted ages, dreaming of what it might one day become. This was not a fire of hunger or destruction. It was a fire of knowing, a patient flame that understood that to ignite too soon was to vanish too quickly. The seeker found this fire not in the sky or the hearth, but in the still hollow of his own heart. There, beneath layers of memory and fear, something smoldered quietly, refusing to fade, refusing also to rise. He felt its warmth like a promise, like a voice waiting to be heard when the world became quiet enough to listen. The fire spoke without words. It whispered through heat and silence, telling of cycles, of creation, decay, and renewal. Not all who burn are ready to shine, it seemed to say. Not all who wait are lost. The seeker bowed his head, realizing that even passion must learn the art of patience. Days became nights, and nights turned back again, yet the fire did not move. It waited for the breath of the world, for the moment when its flame could serve something greater than itself. When at last the winds changed and the rains fell, the fire stirred, not in defiance, but in harmony, rising not to conquer, but to illuminate. It burned not to consume, but to reveal. Its glow unveiled the hidden veins of gold within the stone, the unseen warmth inside all things that endure. The seeker, standing before this gentle inferno, understood that true strength lies not in the fury of the flame, but in its restraint. The fire that waited was the soul that endures, the divine spark within all living things that learns when to rise and when to rest. And in that moment, surrounded by light that neither demanded nor destroyed, the seeker felt the unity of stillness and heat, of passion and peace, and knew that the waiting had never been in vain. Beneath the restless air, beneath the endless roaming of clouds and storms, there lies a stillness older than breath itself. It is not found in the open sky, nor in the mountain's crown, but deep within the soil, the place where wind begins. There, hidden beneath layers of earth and memory, the root of all winds waits in quiet dreaming, gathering strength from the silence that the surface has long forgotten. The seeker came to this place not by walking, but by listening. The earth whispered directions only to ears that had learned to hear without demand. Each step sank lower, from leaf to loam, from loam to stone, until the air itself thickened into stillness. At first, there was nothing. No motion, no whisper, no life. Then, a trembling. Faint, uncertain, but alive.
The seeker realized that the wind did not come from the sky at all. It came from the heart of the earth, exhaled through roots and caverns. Born from a pulse that had no direction, no destination, only movement as existence. He knelt upon the soil and placed his palm upon the unseen. Beneath his hand, he felt it, a deep, slow rhythm, like the breathing of a sleeping god. Every gust, every storm, every soft breeze was its language. The world above was merely the echo of what the world below remembered. The seeker understood then that wind was not a thing apart. It was the soul in motion, the invisible bridge between all things. It carried memory, prayer, scent, and song. It whispered to stones, kissed the oceans, and wove the sky with longing. It was the messenger of what could not be seen, yet could never be lost. In that knowing, the seeker exhaled, and the wind answered. It did not come as a storm, nor as a whisper, but as a presence, filling the hollow places of the heart, reminding him that movement without root is chaos, but rooted motion becomes grace. He saw visions in that current dust rising over forgotten lands, seeds carried to new beginnings, voices singing in unison across distant shores. Every wind was a breath shared between worlds, and every gust carried the memory of unity. When he rose, the seeker no longer felt the air upon his skin. He was the air, the invisible current between all things, the song that had no source and no end. And somewhere deep beneath the world's turning, the root of all winds stirred again, sending forth another breath into the waiting sky, a reminder that all beginnings are born from stillness, and every motion returns home to silence.
The seeker had walked through mountains and valleys, through winds that whispered and waters that dreamed. Each element had shared its lesson, each breath had carried knowledge. Yet, there remained a final question, one that hovered like a shadow just beyond the horizon. How do all things return? How does the movement of life circle back upon itself without end? The journey led to a plain that seemed infinite, a place where the earth rolled gently beneath a sky unbroken by horizon. Here, the soil felt ancient underfoot, carrying the memory of countless rains, countless footsteps, countless lifetimes. The air itself seemed to pulse with the rhythm of cycles, growth, decay, and renewal intertwined as inseparably as the roots of the oldest trees. Kneeling, the seeker pressed both hands into the soil, feeling the texture of life itself. Tiny grains clung to the skin, and in them he sensed a story. Every seed that had fallen, every leaf that had decayed, every creature that had walked the land had returned to this earth. Not lost, not gone, but transformed, becoming the foundation for new beginnings. The earth was not static, it was a living circle, endlessly giving and receiving, shaping the flow of all life. Rising, the seeker turned to observe the sky. Clouds moved in deliberate arcs, rivers cut through valleys, and winds carried dust across continents. Even the air bore the memory of the earth, as if every element was connected through a shared history of returning. The wind that had brushed past distant mountains now carried whispers from the plain beneath his feet. Every motion, every cycle, was a continuation of the same circle. The seeker reflected on his own life, his joys, his sorrows, his moments of triumph and failure. Each choice, each experience was part of a larger loop. Nothing truly vanished. It transformed, returning in ways subtle and profound. Loss became nourishment for growth. Pain became the soil for empathy. Mistakes became lessons, recycled into wisdom. With each breath, the seeker felt a deep resonance with the earth beneath him. The circle was not just the natural world, it was the rhythm of existence itself. To live fully was to recognize that beginnings and endings were inseparable. To witness a fallen leaf was to see both the end of its journey and the beginning of countless others. To feel the wind was to sense the pulse of countless lifetimes circulating through the world. He walked slowly across the plain, observing small shoots breaking through the soil, insects returning to the earth to nourish it, and animals moving through the grass in patterns older than memory. Each movement was a thread woven into the fabric of life, a reminder that nothing is ever truly lost. The circle continued, larger than comprehension, yet intimate in its presence. As dusk approached, the seeker sat and closed his eyes, feeling the pull of all elements together. The fire of the sun warming his skin, the water of dew beneath his fingers, the wind brushing across his face, and the earth holding him in silent support. In that moment, the seeker understood. The circle of returning earth was not just beneath him, it was within him. Every action, thought, and intention would ripple outward, return, and shape the future. Every breath was part of the cycle, every step a return. Finally, the seeker rose, carrying the quiet certainty that life is eternal in its motion, that the circle of giving and receiving is constant, and that true understanding comes not from clinging, but from moving with the flow. To honor the circle of returning earth is to honor life itself, in its beauty, its impermanence, and its eternal return. In this recognition, the seeker walked onward, knowing that every ending is the seed of a beginning, and every beginning carries the memory of countless returns. And somewhere beneath the soil, among roots and rocks, the circle continued, silently turning, endlessly returning, as it always had and as it always would. Thank you for walking this path with us. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and continue your journey through the Book of Unity.